Here's part 1 in approximately 800 words, using simple English and third-person narrative. Emma Thompson stood by the factory window, watching raindrops race down the cold glass. Her life felt just like those droplets, sliding downward without control. At 28, she had already experienced more struggle than most people twice her age. The small industrial town of Burnley seemed trapped in a perpetual grey world. Factories dominated the landscape, their chimneys constantly releasing smoke into the cloudy sky. Emma's tiny apartment was just 2 streets away from the manufacturing plant where she worked endless shifts. Her mother had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving behind medical bills that felt like mountains. Cancer had been brutal, consuming their savings and hope. Now Emma worked 12-hour shifts at the textile factory, her hands rough from handling machinery and her spirit increasingly weary. Every morning she would wake up at 5 a.m., prepare a simple toast with margarine, and pack a basic lunch, usually a sandwich and an apple. Her budget was so tight that each penny mattered. The heating in her apartment rarely worked, so she would wear multiple layers even indoors. Her job at the factory was monotonous. Large machines hummed continuously, producing fabric for clothing companies. Emma's role was to monitor the machines, ensuring they ran smoothly, and reporting any technical issues. The work was repetitive and exhausting, but she knew she couldn't afford to lose this job. On this particular morning, something felt different. Emma noticed an envelope that had been slipped under her apartment door. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked it up. The handwriting looked familiar. It reminded her of her mother's old friend who had promised to help her years ago. William Harris was a distant family connection who worked in a London business. Her mother had often spoken about him, describing him as a kind-hearted professional who might help Emma someday. She had always hoped he would provide an opportunity when the time was right. Breaking the envelope's seal, Emma discovered a letter that would change everything. Mr. Harris had heard about her situation through mutual friends and was offering her a potential job in London. The position was administrative, requiring skills she wasn't sure she possessed. Her first reaction was fear. London seemed like another world, massive, complicated, and intimidating. She had never travelled far from Burnley, and the thought of leaving her familiar though challenging environment scared her. But something inside Emma stirred. A small voice, perhaps her mother's memory, whispered that this might be her only chance. The factory job would never allow her to escape poverty. This opportunity, however uncertain, represented hope. Her current life was a continuous cycle of survival. Wake up, work, return home, sleep. Repeat. No holidays, no real social. Life just constant work to pay bills and survive. The letter from Mr. Harris represented a potential break from this exhausting routine. Emma looked around her small apartment. The walls were covered with her mother's old photographs and a few motivational posters she had collected over the years. Each image seemed to encourage her, to remind her that life could be more than just survival. She thought about her skills. Years of factory work had taught her discipline, attention to detail, and resilience. These weren't just job requirements, they were survival skills she had learned through hard experiences. That evening, Emma made a decision. She would apply for the position. She would prepare herself, practice her typing, improve her basic computer skills using the community library's computers. She would show Mr. Harris that she was worth taking a chance on. Her hands, usually calloused from factory work, now carefully drafted a response letter. Each word was written with hope, each sentence constructed with determination. This wasn't just a job application. This was her ticket to a potentially different life. As night fell over Burnley, Emma packed a small notebook with her mother's advice written inside. Believe in yourself. Opportunities come to those who are ready to embrace them. The letter to Mr. Harris would be her first step, a step toward something unknown, but potentially transformative, a step toward hope. Outside her window, the industrial town remained unchanged. But inside Emma's heart, something was quietly, powerfully shifting. The train rumbled through the English countryside, carrying Emma toward an uncertain future. Her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and fear. The second-hand ticket in. Her hand felt like a passport to a different world. London, a city of endless possibilities. Outside the window, green fields and small villages passed by. Emma clutched her mother's locket, a silent reminder of the journey she was undertaking. Her small suitcase contained everything she owned, a few clothes, some personal documents, and a determination that burned brighter than her uncertainties. London greeted her with a wall of noise and movement. Victoria Station was nothing like Burnley's quiet train platform. People rushed in all directions, their footsteps creating a constant rhythm of urban life. Emma felt small, almost invisible among the crowds. Mr. William Harris's office was located in a modest building near Covent Garden. She had carefully mapped the route using a borrowed city map, terrified of getting lost. Her hands trembled slightly as she approached the reception desk, her simple blue dress feeling suddenly inadequate among the professional surroundings. "I'm here to see Mr. Harris," she said, her voice quieter than she intended. The receptionist, a kind-looking woman in her 50s, smiled warmly and asked her to wait. William Harris was different from what Emma had imagined. Not tall or intimidating, but a gentle man in his early 60s with kind eyes that seemed to look beyond her nervous exterior. He remembered her mother fondly, speaking about their shared history with a soft voice that instantly made Emma feel more comfortable. "Your mother was one of the most resilient people I knew," he said, looking through her application. "I see the same spirit in you." The job was an administrative position at a small but growing business consultancy. Emma would be responsible for managing documents, scheduling meetings, and supporting the team. It wasn't a glamorous role, but it was a lifeline, a chance to escape the factory's monotonous existence. Richard Peterson, another employee, watched her during the initial interview. He was a seasoned professional in his 40s, with sharp eyes that seemed to analyze every movement. Emma felt herself being carefully evaluated, which only increased her nervousness. Mr. Harris explained the opportunity carefully. "This isn't just a job," he said. "This is a chance to learn, to grow. We're not looking for perfection, but potential." The salary was modest, but significantly better than her factory wages. More importantly, it offered something she had never experienced. Before a possibility of professional growth, no more endless shifts, no more feeling trapped by circumstances. That evening, Emma found a small, affordable room in a shared house in Hackney. The landlady, Mrs. Thompson, no relation, was a retired nurse who seemed to take an immediate liking to her. The room was tiny but clean, with a small window overlooking a busy street. As she unpacked her limited belongings, Emma allowed herself a moment of hope. Her mother would have been proud. She had taken a massive step, leaving behind everything familiar for a chance at something better. The first week was overwhelming. Computer systems were more complex than she had imagined. Technical terms flew over her head. Richard seemed constantly busy, offering minimal guidance. Emma spent her evenings studying, learning basic computer skills at the local library. Her colleagues were a mixed group. Some seemed impressed by her determination. Others barely noticed her, but Emma was determined to prove herself. She arrived early, stayed late, and asked questions whenever possible. Mr. Harris watched her progress with quiet satisfaction. He saw something special in Emma, a raw potential waiting to be developed. Her background didn't matter. Her willingness to learn did. One evening, as she practiced spreadsheet skills, Emma realized something profound. This wasn't just a job. This was her pathway to a different life, a life where she could choose her destiny, not just survive. The city lights of London sparkled outside her window. For the first time in years, Emma felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. A quiet, powerful hope that whispered of possibilities yet to unfold. Her journey was just beginning. The first month at the consultancy tested Emma's resolve in ways she never expected. Every day brought new challenges that seemed designed to push her beyond her comfort zone. Richard Peterson, her senior colleague, watched her with a critical eye that made her increasingly nervous. Spreadsheets became her personal battlefield. Numbers danced across the screen, refusing to make sense. Emma would arrive early, staying long after others had left, practicing Excel formulas and accounting techniques. Her hands would ache from typing, her eyes straining in the soft office light. One particular morning, she made a significant mistake in a client report. The decimal point was misplaced, throwing entire financial calculations into chaos. When Richard discovered the error, his disappointment was palpable. "This isn't a factory assembly line," he said sharply. "Precision matters here." Emma felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. Her dreams of proving herself seemed to be crumbling. That night, she called her old friend from Burnley, fighting back tears. "Maybe I'm not cut out for this," she whispered. Her confidence shaken, but something inside her refused to give up. She remembered her mother's words about resilience. Instead of feeling defeated, Emma decided to turn her weakness into strength. She began asking Richard for extra help, showing genuine interest in learning. To her surprise, Richard's approach slowly changed. What had started as criticism began to transform into guidance. He noticed her late nights, her determination to improve. During lunch breaks, he would quietly explain complex financial concepts, breaking them down into simple terms. The upcoming client presentation became Emma's ultimate challenge. A major business proposal required detailed financial analysis, exactly the area where she had previously struggled. Mr. Harris had specifically mentioned her name to the client, adding unexpected pressure. Emma spent weeks preparing. She studied every financial report, asked countless questions, and practiced her presentation skills. Richard began giving her additional tips, showing her how to present information clearly and confidently. Her tiny room became a study haven. Spreadsheets covered her small desk. Post-it notes with financial terms decorated the walls. She practiced her presentation in front of a mirror, working on her confidence and clarity. The company's senior management started noticing her transformation. Mr. Harris would occasionally pass by her desk, offering a supportive smile. Her dedication was becoming impossible to ignore. One late evening, Richard stayed behind to help her prepare. "You've got potential," he said, something close to respect in his voice. "But potential means nothing without hard work." His words became her motivation. The night before the presentation, Emma could barely sleep. Her mind raced with financial figures, presentation strategies, and the fear of failure. She remembered her factory days, how one mistake could cost her everything. Morning arrived with a strange calm. Emma dressed carefully in a simple blue blazer, her hands steady for the first time in weeks. She had prepared, she had practiced, and she was ready. The conference room felt massive. Clients sat around a long table, their eyes expectant. Emma took a deep breath, remembering Richard's advice about confidence. She began her presentation, her voice clear and steady. Something magical happened. The numbers she had struggled with for months now flowed naturally. Her explanation was clear, her analysis precise. Clients began nodding, asking intelligent questions that she answered confidently. When she finished, a moment of silence followed. Then, unexpectedly, applause broke out. Mr. Harris looked proud. Richard gave her a subtle nod of approval. That evening changed everything. Emma realized that challenges were not obstacles, but opportunities to grow. Her journey from a factory worker to a professional was no longer just a dream. It was becoming reality. As she walked home through London's bustling streets, she felt different, stronger, more confident. The city that had once seemed intimidating now felt like home. Her mother would have been proud. Emma had discovered her own strength, one challenge at a time. The morning of the presentation arrived with a crisp autumn feel. London's streets were covered in a light mist, matching Emma's nervous energy. Her hands trembled slightly as she arranged her documents, memories of her mother's encouragement echoing in her mind. The conference room felt different today. Clients from various companies sat around the large wooden table, their eyes focused on Emma. She remembered her factory days, how invisible she used to feel. Now she was about to prove her worth. Richard Peterson sat at the back of the room, watching her carefully. His previous criticism had transformed into a quiet form of support. Emma had worked tirelessly to change his perception, spending countless nights preparing and learning. Her presentation began softly but grew stronger with each slide. She explained complex financial strategies with a clarity that surprised even herself. Numbers that once terrified her now danced across the screen, telling a story of potential and growth. Midway through the presentation, something remarkable happened. The client started leaning forward, genuinely interested. Questions came, not as challenges, but as genuine inquiries. Emma answered each one with confidence, her factory-trained attention to detail shining through. Mr. Harris watched from the doorway, a proud smile forming on his face. He saw more than just a presentation. He saw a transformation, a young woman who had stepped completely out of her comfort zone. When Emma finished, the room fell silent for a moment. Then, unexpectedly, applause broke out. The lead client, a distinguished gentleman in his 50s, approached her. "Exceptional work," he said, shaking her hand. That evening changed everything. The company received a significant contract, largely due to Emma's presentation. Mr. Harris called her into his office, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "You've done something remarkable," he told her. The promotion came immediately, a junior management position with responsibilities that seemed impossible just months ago. Her salary would now allow her to help her community back in Burnley. Emma remembered her tiny apartment, her struggling days at the factory. She thought about sending money home, creating opportunities for others like herself. This wasn't just a personal victory, it was a chance to make a difference. Richard approached her after the meeting. The rigid professional had softened. "You've surprised us all," he said, offering a rare smile. "Your mother would be proud." Her first action with the new position was unexpected. Emma started a small scholarship program for working-class youth in her hometown. She knew the challenges of breaking free from limited circumstances. Now, she could help others do the same. The local community in Burnley heard about her success. Her old factory colleagues couldn't believe the transformation. The girl who once worked endless shifts was now making a difference in the business world. Late one evening, going through company documents, Emma found a photograph of her mother. She traced the image, remembering all the struggles they had faced. Together, tears formed, but they were different now. Tears of triumph, not desperation. Her tiny room in the shared house became a planning center. She began developing more ideas, creating strategies to support young professionals from working-class backgrounds. Her experiences had become her greatest strength. The city of London, once intimidating, now felt like home. Emma had discovered something more valuable than money. She had discovered her own potential. The girl from the factory had become a professional who could create change. Mr. Harris watched her growth with quiet satisfaction. He saw in Emma the same resilience her mother had shown years ago, a quiet determination that could move mountains. Autumn turned to winter. Emma's life had completely transformed. From a factory worker struggling to pay medical bills to a rising professional making a difference. Her journey was proof that circumstances could change, that hope was more than just a word. She thought about her mother's last words. Believe in yourself. Now she understood their true meaning. The breakthrough wasn't just a professional achievement, it was a personal revolution. 2 years passed like a swift summer breeze. Emma Thompson was no longer the nervous factory worker who had arrived in London, but a respected manager with a reputation for compassion and excellence. Her scholarship program had become the company's pride. Each year, 3 working-class youth received full support to develop their professional skills. Mr. Harris often referred to it as Emma's legacy, a testament to her commitment to creating opportunities. Richard Peterson, once her most critical supervisor, had become her strongest supporter. He helped develop the training programs, recognizing the potential in young professionals that he had once overlooked. Their professional relationship had transformed into a genuine friendship. The small industrial town of Burnley watched Emma's journey with pride. Local newspapers had written about her success, inspiring other young people to believe in their dreams. Her mother's memory lived on through each life she touched. During company gatherings, Emma stood confidently among executives. Her presentations were now legendary, clear, passionate, and inspiring. She had learned to translate her working class experience into a powerful professional strength. Her first major project involved supporting small businesses in struggling communities. Drawing from her own experiences, she developed strategies that helped small enterprises grow. Each success felt like a personal victory. The tiny apartment she once called home was now a distant memory. She had moved to a modest but comfortable flat in London, filled with photographs of her journey. Her mother's locket remained her most treasured possession, a constant reminder of where she came from. One particular evening changed everything. The company announced a major international expansion, and Emma was chosen to lead the team. Her background, once seen as a limitation, was now her greatest asset. Her scholarship students began graduating, entering professional roles with confidence. Emma personally mentored each of them, remembering her own challenging journey. She understood that success was about creating opportunities for others. Richard helped her develop more comprehensive support programs. They worked late nights, designing initiatives that could help working-class professionals break through traditional barriers. Their shared vision went beyond simple business objectives. Mr. Harris, now approaching retirement, saw Emma as more than an employee. She represented hope, proof that potential could overcome any circumstance. During a company dinner, he raised a toast to her remarkable journey. "Emma represents everything our company believes in," he announced. "Not just professional excellence, but human potential." The town of Burnley invited her to speak at local schools. She shared her story honestly, the struggles, the challenges, the moments of doubt. Young students listened, their eyes filled with possibility. Her mother's medical bills, once an overwhelming burden, were now a distant memory. Emma had not just survived, she had transformed her pain into purpose. Each scholarship, each mentorship, was a tribute to her mother's memory. The business world began recognizing her unique approach. Conferences invited her to speak about inclusive professional development. Emma spoke not from textbooks, but from lived experience. Her personal life blossomed alongside her professional success. She found love with Michael, a kind social worker, who understood her journey. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and shared values. Emma never forgot her roots. Each month she sent support back to her community. Small businesses received guidance. Struggling families got unexpected help. Her success was not just personal, it was collective. During a quiet moment, looking out over London's skyline, Emma reflected on her journey. The scared factory worker was now a confident professional who could create change. Her mother's words echoed, "Believe in yourself." The transformation was complete. Not just a professional journey, but a human story of hope, resilience, and the power of believing in oneself. As winter snow covered London streets, Emma smiled. Her story was just beginning.